So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about 8 character traits that I have noticed in high performance individuals. And I happen to be around quite a few high performing individuals, including Dan Pena, my chairman, who was a CEO of a $3.5 billion company. And I have been exposed to high performance over the last couple of years, but also growing up in a boarding school where I was made to run 3.5 to 4 kilometers when I was 9, boxing, and then running 5 to 7 kilometers when you're 13 years old, being beaten in school, and having a routine where you wake up at 5:30 until 9:30 in the night. As a 9-year-old, living away from parents, and horse riding and a whole bunch of other things, being away from women, in a boys' school, and those types of things shaped my life and my mind. And in the last couple of years, I happen to have negotiated a $3.5 million deal, a $25 million deal, a $10 million deal, and a $120 and $140 million deal. These are the high-profile negotiations that I've been part of. I've met with public companies, decision makers of these companies, and indirectly interacted with billionaires. I've also met a man who was worth around 500 million pounds. He was one of the richest refugees living in the UK. And I have happened to be studying some billionaires in the last decade or so, since the time I have gotten into entrepreneurship. I started my first business when I was 17 years old, and I'm 29 now. So it's been quite a ride, and I'm going to be sharing with you what I have observed and what has worked for me, what I've seen work for other people, and what I have seen not work, and kind of providing you with the distinctions of the character traits that one must have to be a high performance individual. This could be in any field, but this typically applies to business and finance. So number one is high performance individuals have big goals and big dreams. Performance is driven by purpose. There is a reason for that performance. There has to be a cause that you stand for that is driving that type of behavior out of you. If you don't have a goal, there is not going to be a reason for you to sacrifice the comfort towards that goal. The sacrificing of today's comfort becomes only justified when there is a goal that's big enough that justifies that sacrifice. Otherwise, why wouldn't you sit down and have a bunch of drinks and smoke weed? There has to be a reason not to do those things. If you don't have big goals and dreams, then performance is not going to come out of you. So we know Elon Musk, his dream is to go to Mars, take everybody to Mars, transform the way cars are structured and engineered to make it electric for the environment. And Dan Pena had a dream of creating a $1 billion company. He reached to 450 million. Michael Phelps has won 6 or 7 gold medals in Olympics. These people are driven by purpose, and it's very important to sit down and write that goal down and sell yourself on that dream and have that as an overarching purpose. So having a big dream, big is the operative word. If it's too small, you wouldn't want to get up in the morning. So it has to be really big. Second is the ability to take risks. Now, the only way you go from one position, a position of weakness, to a position of power. And a lot of high performance activities happen in certain positions, right? If you want to win an Olympic gold medal, it's going to happen when you put yourself in a position to do that. If you want to start a company, you have to put yourself in a position to do that. And transforming your current position to a position you want to be in almost always requires balls. Your intellect is only going to go so far. You can only analyze so many scenarios. Ultimately, you have to take a leap. At some point, you will have to take a leap into uncertainty. and you are really standing in a place where you don't know if it will work out or not. And that's one of the reasons why we admire celebrities, is because they relied financially on a career that's unstable. They don't know if it will happen or not, if it will work out or not. Someone like Ed Sheeran or Justin Bieber have been performing on the streets, living on the streets at times, and that's the risk that they were willing to take to be great. And it happened, and sometimes it doesn't work out. So ability to be bold and to take risk is something that is evident in high performance individuals. And this is something that Elon Musk talks about. He said, if you're young, if you're not married, if you don't have kids, that's the time to take the risk. And it's time to do something really bold. So that's one quality that they have. Next, point number 3 is not giving a shit about what people think about them. Whenever you are set out to do something, you almost always will have to think about it in your mind. You may have written your goals down, and you may be even visualizing it. And that vision may be so real to you that it becomes like a belief system, and it becomes almost like a religion. It's a vision that you have seen for yourself. You've seen it. You see yourself in it, and it feels real. And the thing that happens is that other people have not seen that vision, because people are driven by evidence. You got to show the evidence, right? And people are going to keep talking and keep destroying that picture that's in your mind over and over again. And especially if you talk about it a lot, which you should. Some people say you shouldn't talk about your vision. I say you should talk about your vision. You just cut out the people who don't want to listen to you. But people will start ridiculing you because it's not there yet. So from the point you begin, when it's just a vision to reality, there's going to be a gap of time. And that gap of time is where most of the naysayers will come with their mouth and start talking. And they will state things which are obvious. Oh, nothing has happened yet. You're like, thank you for letting me know. Nothing has happened. But I'm working on it, and it takes time to make something into a reality. So they will open their mouth and they will not shut up. So you cannot base your decisions, base your actions upon what other people think of you, their standards of you, who they think you are. Oh, you'll never be able to do that. You're a shy boy. Or you'll never be able to do that. You're not good with numbers. What do you mean you want to get into finance? I mean, are you sick? Things like that, words like that. You got to cut it out and just, you can't give a shit about that. I would just laugh at their face. Point number 4 is that they guard their time like they guard their money. So, I think Warren Buffett, that's what he said, that if you want to be really rich, you got to say no a lot. And rich people say no a lot. High performance people say no to most of the things. And they say yes to very few things. And when they say yes, because they're so committed and they want to excel, those few things that they say yes to, they're all in on it. So they say no a lot, they say no to a lot of people, and that's another quality that they have, is guarding their time. Time is the most valuable resources, and we have a resource, and we have to guard it. We can't just give it away, to people who may not be related to our goal. Okay, so next is point number 5 is being laser beam focused, which is being obsessed. This is something that Dan Pena talks about, and Bill Gates talks about, Warren Buffett talks about, is that you have to be focused. And the word I would use is obsessed. When you see a vision, when you see a goal in your mind, it just consumes you. You can't help but not think about it, and it just completely takes over you. And that's the focus part. And you're all the time thinking about it, and you want to accomplish it, and you can't stop thinking about it. It becomes to a point where it becomes like a sickness, that you have this thing and you're just after it. Elon Musk has it, and people ask him, like, you could have not done any of this and spent the rest of your life on a beach having cocktails? Why didn't you do that? And he says, you know what, I doubt it sometimes that I should have done that. This is way too difficult. But he can't help it, right? So that's obsession, laser beam focused. Number 5 is ruthlessness. So when we say ruthlessness, we are not referring to torturing someone or hurting someone without, just for the sake of it. That's not what we mean. But being ruthless in terms of your attitude towards accomplishing that goal. And anybody who is not related, you're willing to cut them off from your time, from your schedule, from your life. And it's nothing personal. There are many billionaires who go into a company, they acquire a company, and the employees are not performing. And they're taking all this money and they're pretending to work, and they're actually not working. They're not aligned with the company's vision. And they're getting this salary for nothing. And the entrepreneur who owns the company has a vision to take this company someplace, and these guys are not aligned with that, and on top of it, robbing the company of resources. So ruthlessness is required in that situation to fire them. And their families may be dependent on that salary. They may have loans attached to that salary, but they are the ones who broke the agreement. And you have to be ruthless in those situations. And so that's one of the qualities where you cut out all the scenarios that are not your vision, and you remove all the people who are not linked with your goal, and that requires ruthlessness. Then point number 7 is high pain tolerance. And this is something Elon Musk talks about, is that starting a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss, meaning not getting anywhere, and on top of it, just looking into the sky, into emptiness, and eating glass. And he said, you got to have a high pain tolerance. He was asked, which is one quality that you would say? And he said, high pain tolerance. And you will have to take some decisions that are good for your vision, but they're going to cause a lot of pain. Like, for example, one of the things I've decided is that I will not get married until I am super successful. And that decision has caused a lot of pain in my life, because I was dating this girl from London, and I had to leave London, and I had to leave that relationship. Even though I was serious and I was in love with this girl, I had to cut off that relationship to make my dream a reality. And I have had to cut out several relationships, and it's very painful when you form relationships and you have to cut them out to build this company, to make the phone calls, to do the meetings, and hanging out with a bunch of guys, right? But that's the price to pay, and that's the price to pay. And it causes a lot of emotional pain. It's unstable. Mentally you become kind of shaken up, and it's a very shaky ground, and it's very painful, and the pain lasts a long time. It's not like it goes away. And it gets lonely at times. You don't have anybody to talk to. So pain tolerance is extremely crucial for entrepreneurship. I'm just giving you the real truth here, and for you to have some perspective on what might be required, which happens. And then, point number 8 is not being afraid to be isolated. A lot of the people have this fear that people will leave me. And because they are so scared of people leaving them, they don't do anything exceptional. They always want to be around the group, right? And if you're all the time around a group, you're tuned into the thinking of the group. And groups don't become rich. Individuals become rich. Groups don't receive, gold medals in swimming. I guess countries do, but you know what I'm talking about. There are these few high-performing individuals that are so exceptionally good that they don't belong to a group. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, he's one of the greatest footballers in the world, and Lionel Messi, for some of you that follow him, These guys belong to a team, but these guys are exceptional in their own regard, and you cannot just put them in a group, because they're not part of the group. They're just exceptional people. And so these guys stand out. I have people, I was associated with people, they want a company to go to a gym. They needed company to go to a market. I had one friend told me one time, "Prithvi, why don't you come downstairs?" I said, "What happened?" I said, "Your other friend is alone, sitting alone. We should go and sit next to him." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, he's alone and he can't be alone by himself. He needs like company and like someone to talk to." I mean, and I get it, he had good intentions, but that type of attitude is not going to work in entrepreneurship. I mean, there are times when you will be alone by yourself. There will be times where you cannot trust anybody, and it's a treacherous environment. The more that you move towards higher and higher positions of power, the more you are subject to betrayal, because the incentive to betray you is very high. The incentive to attack you is very high. And so you have to think about a lot of that stuff, and you can't share a bunch of stuff with people, and it can be very isolating. So they're not afraid to be alone. They're not afraid to be isolated for long periods of time. And that's another dark truth about entrepreneurship. And that's, one of the character traits is that they're lone wolves. They spend time with themselves, analyzing their weaknesses, building skills, taking courses, like reading books. You're not going to always have company in those times. Even if you have a girl next to you, I mean, she may be supportive, she may not be supportive, she may have this need for constant attention. I mean, and sometimes you may have to let her go and just be by yourself, So those types of situations happen, and high performance individuals tend to be lone wolves. When Michael Phelps is doing his laps, he doesn't have company, It's his coach just pushing him constantly, and while he's swimming, he's alone. He feels alone. And that's isolation, and they're not afraid of being with themselves. And that's when most of the demons, your own demons, are revealed, when you're by yourself and you resolve them, and you move forward. So that's 8 character traits of a high performance individual. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you soon.